Hello everyone, Acura Amanda here. I finally mastered the StreamYards. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had to call my lifeline, American Amy. So shout out to American Amy. Thank you for helping me set this up, girl, because I didn't know what I was doing. So what's up, everyone? So today this live stream is to bring awareness to something that's going on to my friend Jessie Lee. So I've covered a lot of stories out of Gulfport, Florida, but this one in particular, we've kind of been like, you know, not keeping it hush hush, but I haven't mentioned it yet. But my friend Jessie Lee, he's facing a felony charge for battery on a Leo. So when you hear the dynamics and the details of the story, you're like, how does that construe into a charge that serious? So it all involves a CD-ROM and a corrupt CD-ROM. And a lot of times these departments, they like to play games because their software, the CD will work fine, but when you play it on your end, it's just corrupt. So I'm waiting for Jessie to get back on here. I'm gonna let him tell the story, but basically, we're creating a GoFundMe to raise money for his legal defense. So if you guys want to help out, my mods in here, go ahead and share the link for me. And Jessie, if you're here, I'm going to paste the link to join up here. So I want to wish every one of you guys happy holidays. For me, it's been just a really crazy year, but you know, life's all about struggles, and you gotta just kick back up, get up again. But I'm very grateful for everyone that I have in my life and on in my corner. So shout out to all of you guys. You all know who you are. So I'll give them a second to come up in here. So let me shoot him a text. Here it is. So let me read the chat for a second. We got Geo in here. Go subscribe to Geo. We got Gail. Jason's in the house. FDR. Ruth is in the house. Who else do we got? Hebrew Hammer, Batman, Type R, Emerald. What's up, everybody? Hello, everyone. Clinton's in the house. So hold on a second. Go to the live stream I pinned. I was actually up in Gulfport the other day, and you know, we were actually protesting because come to find out, there's somebody that I would consider a negligent hire that their local newspaper hired. He's actually a convicted sex offender. So that's who they had writing these historical articles for them. So I don't know. It is what it is, guys. I got my coffee over here. I was getting tired setting this up. Don't see it. Oh my God. Hold on a second. I'm going to share the link again. Hold on a second. Hey, Louis B, what's up? Let me see if I can. No, I can't mod you from here. I'm telling you guys, this whole aftermarket StreamYard stuff is just awful. I don't know. I just don't know what I'm doing with this kind of stuff. But American Amy gave me a little quick tutorial. So Louis B, if you want to come up here and join the chat, you're welcome to do so. Let me give him a call. Hey, go in the chat, like literally go in the chat, and it's a starred comment. I'm going to post it again. Just click on it, okay? We're waiting for you. Okay, hey, Louis, hold on. Louis going to text it to you. Hey, Louis, go ahead and text Jesse the StreamYards link, and I'm going to add you in here.
All right, stay by.
What's up? How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, girl?
Hey, nothing much. Just figuring out how to use this wonderful software over here. You're a liar, Amanda. How you doing tonight?
Yeah. Caught me late at night. Jesse texted me. I'm like, oh crap. But I'm here. Let me. Are you texting it? I'm texting it over to him now. He can't get in.
Text him the link. Bolthead, thank you very much for putting my PayPal link in there. Anything you send me helps me stay on the road. But more importantly, my mods in here, go ahead and share Jesse's link, please, to his GoFundMe. Today, basically, we're trying to raise funds for him to hire adequate legal defense because he's facing quite a steep charge. So I'll go ahead and read it to you over here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna go outside. It's a nice evening out here. So I have Louis B. He's going to text Jesse Lee the link. But what's up, guys? This is my beautiful backyard. It's pretty dark out here. Hold on a second. Hey guys, sorry about that. All right. So, all right, Salty Balls is back. What's up, Salty Balls?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up? Did you send Jesse the link?
Yeah, he's got it.
All right.
He
So
just has to click on it.
So Salty, you live over in Gulfport, Florida. Do you want to share with us basically like your experience over there?
Yeah. There. We good? All right. My experience here, I've been living around here for around 27 years, Gulfport or just outside of Gulfport. It's always been the police force here has always been a big issue, always overstepping boundaries. We noticed about 5 years ago they were starting to pull.
I finally made it, guys. I finally made it.
Yeah, there you are. It's about time you made it in.
I want to see about activating my headset real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, what's up? This is the man of the hour, Mr. Jesse Lee. Round of applause. You're a liar.
Finally.
He's a liar.
I wouldn't know how to access technology this and with everything. Sorry about that. I'm going to get my little robe here this thing because I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette with you. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm not sure who's on the chat right now, but hey, Louis. Hey, Acura.
Hey, Jess.
What do you think?
Looking good.
Not funny? Okay. I'll hold my humor for another day. Right now, I'm going to put on my serious face.
That's scary.
So catch me up with the conversation. Sorry, it took me a bit to get the link. I'm using my phone, so I don't think I have the same access as someone that has an actual computer does. And action. There we go.
No, I was just discussing, Jesse. Amanda asked me to talk about Gulfport because I've been here for a while. And I was just saying, I was noticing the last 5 years, there's been a big push to get everybody in this area. What we started seeing was more and more pullovers of minority people in the area, just to harass the hell out of them and send them on their way. And all of a sudden, it seemed like all the shop owners were like this one designated friendship group, and if you weren't in that group, you were screwed. Your business wasn't going to make it. My wife and I several years ago had a herb stand for the Tuesday market with my wife's herbs, and we were harassed because we weren't in the group, and so we just stopped doing it. And then I met Jesse, and then Amanda, and I'm back in the fight now. So we're together now.
I appreciate you, Louis. Yeah, it took me quite a bit for me to understand exactly what was occurring here. Honestly, I was very naive in a sense of the situation. So if it wasn't for another Latino that's in here in the area and it's showing up, I would say it's with a strong urge and to make sure that she wasn't even allowing anyone to know that she alerted me, kind of thing, because I'm pretty sure she was intimidated and scared to even show up to my house abruptly to let me know exactly what was occurring. But even then, I still appreciate what she did. I understand it was very scary for her to show up and let me know, but at the same time, I was really disappointed in myself because I do pride myself in being fairly aware of my surroundings. And I spent several months here in Gulfport without even knowing that this was even a thing. So,
it's a surprise.
Well, again, more disappointed in myself than anything else, for not even having an idea. If you go on my Facebook and you look at all the prior Facebook posts, never once did I mention at all that I thought this was an issue of race. I thought the same thing. It was maybe a few privileged people, a few people who actually had a deep connection to the actual town. What do they call that? The good old boys club kind of thing.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Once I was alerted that you won't be finding any Latino or Black owned businesses that are downtown, that's when stuff kind of set in very quickly for me. And I knew that I was on a uphill battle to get anything started at that very moment. So my problem started when I started filing racial discrimination letters with the actual city. Or, well, actually, my problem started when I started asking questions. Period. Yes, I say. But ultimately, once I started filing racial discrimination letters with the city, well, anyone who's been following automatically knows that I was trespassing from City Hall indefinitely, with no ability to be able to exercise any of my liberties or any constitutional rights to argue what has happened or occurred. So it's been nothing but nonstop lies, false accusations, false reports, and it's been quite an interesting ride, especially coming to Gulfport after being hit by Hurricane Harvey and doing so much just to assist and try to survive ultimately, and moving to a town that I thought would be a great, prosperous opportunity, just to find out that people like me or anything darker, pretty much under Carmel, wasn't allowed to prosper here. So I'm just happy to have met Acura and you, Louie, and a few other people who supported me. I do have a dear friend of mine on the chat right now, Miss Patricia.
Hey, Patricia, welcome in here, girl.
Hey, Patricia.
Hi.
Yep.
Okay,
Hi.
I figured out how to do it.
Doing all right. We're just doing this in support for Jesse Lee, and you mentioned that. I mean, my heart just breaks hearing your story that you left a place that you called home and you lost everything that you had, and you go to this town thinking, I'm gonna start my new life, and these are the cards that you were dealt with. So I'm deeply
I wasn't the worst though. Honestly, listen, in 36 of our towns were completely decimated. We all over, like across Texas, I should say, within my facility. But I lost 80% of what I had, but it was I still had something. So I had something to look forward to when I got home. I may have not had my bed to come back to. I may not have had electricity. I may have had to deal with a lot of stuff, and having to move and this, but there were way worse people than me. Patricia was there. I mean, she was a big help. I mean, even before she even moved to the town that I lived in, she was helping everyone. I mean, just nonstop, and fundraising and utilizing our sources and to make sure that we continue to keep helping people in need. Constant deliveries, renting trucks, and just getting out there and making sure that everyone just had just basics, and for me, the basics were more or less and just to make sure they knew this and that, at least a welcome hello, and there was some type of sympathy, someone behind them, with the abilities to be able to resolve, at least basic issues for them. That's food, toilet, plumbing, all these things that were just completely ripped out. So we spent weeks getting out there and doing so much, at least for the community. I didn't take much time, even for myself, and even after I lost, and what I lost. Again, I was just happy that I had a portion of my house to sleep in. I may not have been in what I was used to, and I may not have been able to take a shower after correctly because my floors were all moist. There was a huge tree through my roof, but 30% is still 30%. So.
And maybe I can speak to that a little bit. I've known Jesse now. When was Harvey? What was it, 2015, 2016?
I want to say this, and I think it was somewhere in 2016, if I'm correct.
Yeah, 2016. And so we met through the Harvey devastation in Texas. And it was just such like a random little universe thing. I was heading to another town to take donations from our town. And due to the loitering, the police wouldn't let you in without an ID. And I got hooked up with Jesse, but Jesse had already had like a storefront,
oh God, I remember that.
I mean, it was like the entire forces were coming together. There was, it was everything. And of course, we knew nobody, so we ended up, giving our donations for them to be able, because ours were mostly focused on children, a few things for men, but we mostly were covering mothers and children. And, so he was able to take in the donations. And just in the time I was there that day, I mean, there was like other truckloads coming to Jesse. And then it wasn't only that. Jesse's going to be very humble about it. But it was, nonstop. He had local organizations set up, whether you needed a bike because you couldn't get to your bike. When your bike wasn't working, you couldn't get to work, or you needed some money for food, it was constant stuff. And then it's crazy. We all know how it is. Anybody who does any sort of charity knows you'll get really grateful people 75% of the time, and you'll get some really ungrateful people and really kind of mistreat you. And Jesse would get that too, and he would just keep powering on. He helped a lot of the marginalized groups, which was very noticeable. And where we were marginalized, especially within the LGBT communities, anybody within a minority group. And so when Jesse left and went to Gulfport, it was, ended up moving You know, it's really hard to watch what's happening when you know his past and when you know his heart. I think he's up to the battle that's almost impossible to win. And I think the reason Jesse is fighting is because he really cares, not so much even about how it impacts him, but how it impacts the next marginalized person who wants a better life, or who wants to come up and make something of themselves and not do this. And I kind of feel like he's, you know, willing to take that on. And it's crazy to see, because this is not how anybody should be treated, and this is not any of Jesse's past. This is not. It just is horrible to see somebody who has dedicated so much of their life to serving their community, and then he wants to do one thing for himself, which is open a business. You know, like the American dream.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what's happening. And it's, you know, I want Jesse back in the state. And I hope people will, Jesse, I really do. I hope people will help you fight this. I think you need to fight this. I think you've been wronged. And you have my support always. And I think you have everybody back at home. I think you have all of their support, because you did always show up for everybody. In the big things, like a hurricane, and in the small things, like missing a meal. And you truly have.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I honestly didn't think this was even a thing. You know, you hear about this type of stuff happening all the time, and who would have thought I would have ended up in a state after trying to just restart my life, and something as simple as trying to open up a business and would have turned into such a catastrophic thing.
Yeah, it just what people don't understand is how, like, the timeline, for example, like, I remember James Madison audits. This is how I met Mr. Jesse Lee. My friend James Madison audits, he did a video, and this video went viral, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. These two officers, I believe, was it Pope or Priest? I forgot, it was one or the other, and another officer, and they were caught on body camera placing bets against Jesse, even calling him like an asshole, I believe.
Yeah.
And like, oh, who's gonna arrest him first? And that right there alone outraged me. And then to add insult to injury, the chief of police writes a blog on the Gulfport police website about Jesse. So not only is he being slandered by the Gabber, the local newspaper, but also by a government agency, a single person, and it totally outraged me, like, to the core. So it compelled me to call Robert Vincent up and ask him, like, do you condone your officers placing bets against citizens? And he told me, like, long story short, that, oh, you know, like, they didn't know their body camera was on, so that's okay. People talk shit in the workplace all the time, but you're held to a higher standard as a law enforcement officer. Like, that is not okay that you're placing.
Yeah, my favorite part was him trying to compare innocent police officers to someone working at like McDonald's.
Yeah, and it was
or
totally
a Circle K.
Outrageous. It was outrageous. And then, like, the reports that I've read, like, oh, you know, Jesse Lee was such a threat. We had to pull inside of the door to get him to stop coming in, but there's no damn door handles on the damn door. What are you talking about? You're a liar. Like,
yeah, they do make
so
it very
outrageous.
easy for us to catch them in lies. You know, for a government agency, for police to have the ability to be able to lie consistently and without being held accountable for that type of shit, and when the rest of us are held to a higher standard, you know, I just kind of feel like we're given the 1.2 version of the Constitution while they always have the 9.2 version. You know, but to add some more feedback to what was occurring prior, you know, when I first moved here, you know, the only thing I really wanted to do was kind of establish and send my original business that I actually had in Texas. Yeah, was as a tech and that repaired iPhones, tablets, iWatches.
The best airman.
I'm just a nerd. I love what I do. But the problem was, and I couldn't port my clients with me. So, when you move to a different state, and there's no ability for you just to go around and passing out business cards without people just second guessing you and, who are you? I've never met you before. There's no way in hell I'm going to give you my phone. So I figured I would open up an ice cream cart with the intentions of actually getting to meet the local community. But at the same time, being able to pass out business cards and with the hopes that at some point or another, they would be comfortable and getting to meet me and I can re-establish my business. There was no clear intent on my behalf, I should say, to open up this business for the rest of my life as far as the cart goes. But just overall, enough for me to be able to establish a new base of clientele and overall and eventually just have the same effects that I had when I was in business in Texas. But when I tried applying for the permits, I was just never permitted to do it. I was pretty much told that it just wasn't allowed here under, I forget what section of the ordinance here. But then shortly, I just continue to keep seeing ice cream truck after ice cream truck after ice cream truck and more mobile food vendors along the way. And again, like I stated earlier, just in the moment I started asking these questions, why are they allowed and I'm not? It became quite evident in the sense that, eyebrows were raised. There was concerns that if I continue to keep asking these questions, and that certain things may eventually pop up. But again, unannounced to me, I didn't realize that I had moved into any city or any town, for that matter, that would condone this type of behavior. I've had my fair share of people telling me to go back to my country, when they hear me speak Spanish. And I comically just do a little U-turn on the spot and just say, whew, that was a long trip, But the difference is I get to walk away from your everyday normal idiot. I don't get to walk away from city council members, city officials, who ultimately are in control of my faith and ability to be able to open up my business. But I did attempt to reach out to the council members. I attempted to sit down with city managers to have these conversations and figure out what the ultimate problem was behind never allowing this type of business to open. Although, on the rear end, you're still seeing it happen. You're trying not to push too much forward, but at least I'm trying to educate myself at some point. But every single time they suggested something for me to do, it just never panned out to anything. So, one council member would tell me that I had the ability to join in certain events. And then when you attempted to try to join those events, they would pretty much just counteract that. And then when you went back to the city and say, hey, although you said I could join this, they're telling me no. Then they're telling you they have nothing to do with the event and they can't micromanage them. And that just continued for several months. I even attempted to sit down with the actual mayor of Gulfport. And, he acknowledged in Senate Council that I called him several times. He promised to give me a call back and just never did. And eventually ended up posting something online saying that, when the person becomes an inevitable asshole that you regret, don't blame the person, blame yourself. Apparently, someone went ahead and relayed the information a little weird to him. So he made the time to call me and curse at me and degrade me. But he didn't make the time to return any of my calls prior. So eventually, he set up an appointment with me at the city hall, and I was kind of staying ahead of the game because at this point, I'm realizing that these people are being slightly spiteful. So although he said 10, I showed up at 9. And I sat there for the better part of 45 minutes, assuming that he was going to come back and say, I said 9, not 10, And when he showed up 15 minutes into the 10, he said he just had something else to do. He needed to wrap things up. Eventually came out exactly at 10 o'clock. We went into the Chamber's Commerce, the Chamber's courtroom, or I'm not sure what you call that. He literally sat down, said no to me, and then just got up and walked away. That was his response to me trying to attempt to figure out what was going on, what was occurring, and why it wasn't issued on my behalf. It's to open up something someone else already had. Then it just progressively got worse. I actually had a Pacific Council member show up and well, not show up specifically. I'm assuming he just saw me out with an individual that was interviewing for a job. And then once I left and followed the guy and to the actual business itself and had asked him how was affiliated with the business. And then once the guy said, well, he's going to be taking over my position, he then implied, he said that if I had received that job, that the owner may have a hard time pulling permits. So now it became even more evident in the sense that I was under threat, I was under in the sense, some type of attack, in the sense that if I didn't stop, in the sense this was going to continue getting worse. Then maybe like 2 months later in March of like 2000 and I want to say maybe 19, I needed to call the police and say over for a drunk person at my job. I never really got the job after having to sit here begging the owner for it. But one of their commanders showed up and said demanding that I needed to give her my ID. And then when I asked her why, they said she implied that she needed to run me for warrants. So again, I knew this was a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, but I was still intimidated. I was still scared, and that if I didn't provide her and send this ID, that ultimately she would continue to keep trying to cause problems at my expense. So I waited for a bit and moved forward, and things again progressively got worse. And I just continued to keep taking photos of other businesses operating. And again, never understanding why these people were allowed in the sense to operate their business, how they managed to get a permit. So at some point or another, I went ahead and actually,
Nothing. I'm just laughing at how they do things. It's so messed up.
It is. It was incredibly fucked up. Again, it's to see other people operating their business and saying, well, I'm attempting to run mine, or even attempt to get permits, and I'm being told that something is just not allowed. And this was the explanation that was given to me. They said that the absence, again, I'm not making this shit up, and look it up. It was explained that it was easier to write what was acceptable than it was to write what wasn't acceptable. Therefore, if it's not written, it's not permitted. And that just left me more confused. I mean, that means that you can go after anyone for blue eyes, blonde hair, flip-flops. I mean, how are you supposed to educate yourself on something that ultimately isn't written? How are you supposed to know that something isn't permitted when it's not written? So I was denied. I was pretty much denied except for my permit in 2019 when I essentially tried to apply for it. And again, just spent the better part of almost a year, maybe a year and 2 months, and seeing at least another 15, 16 other consecutive businesses run here with no problem. They were never getting stopped by cops. They were in front of cops. They were at the city hall. They were downtown. They were at the community center. There was never a lack of them. And not one of them was ever given a ticket. So, I started doing open records, and of course that clearly put a target on my back, because again, I'm still asking questions. I want to know how exactly these people are able to operate. And again, at this point, I'm still naive. I still have not figured out that it's an only white downtown neighborhood.
It's really strange. It's such a wonderful area, and all the people are so nice. And then you get this one little clique when it comes to businesses that just want to put it to you, boy.
Well, there's no reflections on the people who live here. And again, so when I mention white, I'm not blanketing every single white person. And God knows, since I've never blamed anyone for anything. I've never used my race card. I've never implied in this and that I could not do anything in my life in this sense because, certain other people were stopping me.
Yeah, but you can't miss it here. It's too obvious.
And I did. But I did. That's the problem, though. It wasn't even made aware to me until another Latina came to my house to tell me. And then that's when my eyes were opened. It was like, holy shit. And so, for the first time in my entire life, I didn't get the obvious or blunt comments that I normally would get from ignorant people. I just wow, I cannot believe it. And this is such a thing. I can't believe this is happening. I mean, who would have thought? Seriously, you come to a town that's preaching peace and happiness and love and acceptance. And I mean, they put such a blanket on everything. I mean, this is a picturesque town. I mean, it's something out of a calendar.
It is.
I mean, you can never imagine that this type of shit would happen here. But, it has, and I just didn't know how to deal with it, So eventually I filed to go back to what Acura said. I eventually filed some racial discrimination letters with the city. I had signed it with the city clerk on the 1st and 2nd of September. And immediately on the 4th, I was trespassed indefinitely. I have no way on these tickets whatsoever to be able to argue them. There's no due process. There's no way on there, nothing on there that pretty much tells you where to go to argue it. I'm indefinitely, by the way, like literally indefinitely trespassing from my own city hall instead for filing racial discrimination letters. So, during that video, if you notice again, I'm asking, why am I being trespassed? And no one has an idea. No one's saying anything, other than you saying this is what the city manager wants and whatever the case might be. At no point was I ever told that I was threatening employees or trying to force my way into a building. But
which is what the Florida statutes require.
They do, but they knew that after I want to say James Madison embarrassed them, because after we got 500,000 reviews, well, that changed the plot and changed their game plan. Because when I got the video, I pretty much left it on the shelf for 7 months. I didn't launch that video at all. I realized how good it was. And I wanted to just go back and forth with them. We sent through emails and text messages. And, when I say text messages, I mean like Facebook Messenger. And I'm asking them, like, what law did I violate? And they're telling me, well, we don't need a reason to trespass you. We can trespass you for any reason, for no reason at all. So I pretty much wanted to spend that time making sure they can never go back or backtrack or ever add something in there for about 6 months before I released it to James Madison. Then after James Madison got involved, and we had 500,000 reviews, if I remember correctly, at least somewhere close to that. And then all of a sudden now they're doubling down. Now they went in after months. We figure from September all the way to February, claiming that now I threaten employees and I try to force my way into buildings. Now, remember that they were caught on video, not only placing bets to who's going to be the first ones to arrest me, but they were also calling me a douchebag and a fucking asshole, if I remember correctly. We don't quote me 100%. It's on. But the chief of police found nothing wrong with it. I mean, nothing at all.
He condoned it, actually.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stuck up for it. Commander Farron said to me over the phone before, "Oh, we can trespass anybody that we deem a nuisance, not, subject to time, place, and manner, all of that stuff out the window. If we deem you a nuisance, you're done." And all of that has left Jesse right where he's at right now. And I will let him elaborate on the situation that he's going through. And I understand, Jesse, that you in July, I believe it was back in July, you received a corrupt CD-ROM.
Yeah, but before we get to that, I really want to elaborate on the weirdness between this trespass.
Yeah,
they're claiming that I went ahead and threatened employees and trying to force my way into a building. But if that's the case, then where are you even placing bets? I mean, last time I checked, if you threaten employees or try to force your way into a building, there would be no need for you to place a bet. You had every reason to arrest me. So, and it just got worse. And then I went ahead and requested any employees that filed any complaints against me in the city. And it was just one employee. And it wasn't that she said I threatened her. She just felt threatened because I called her a lying bitch over the phone. Because I spent 2 weeks trying to get in touch with the city manager, and she continued telling me she was relaying messages to him. And then when I called back 2 or 3 days later, she would tell me that I never spoke to her. It was just so much shit to have to go through with these folks and lying to me and that. I haven't been necessarily a lady about this entire situation, and I know that I can handle myself a bit better. I know that I have a bit of a mouth on me. But I don't see this in how calling someone a lying bitch is the
not
equivalent.
Against the law.
Well, that's true, but
yeah.
The funny part is that I filed a complaint against her and then she retaliated against me, but that was in June. So You're bringing it up and it's after you've been embarrassed by Acura Amanda. Go ahead, say your catchphrase.
Hello, everyone. Acura Amanda here. You're a liar. There you go.
There you go.
You happy? Where's?
I am.
Come on, throw some bucks at it.
But pretty much what it was, in the sense, she, he went ahead and, you did the interview. He said I was threatening employees. I'm just confused. If I threatened her in June, why didn't you just issue me a trespass? Especially in this, if, from what he's saying, he can trespass me for any reason or for no reason at all. So, you essentially allowed me to go from June, July, August, September, with no problem. If your employees in the sense were so big on your list of importance, and I had threatened an employee or employees, plural, why didn't you trespass me earlier? And I'll tell you why. Because again, the only reason why I got trespassed from City Hall was specifically because I went ahead and actually filed that report on the 1st and 2nd. Only reason. But again, they didn't stop there. Now they got the Gabber involved. Well, let me remind you, I may add in the Senate, because I went ahead and also did a few other open records requests. And I know I'm rambling on, guys. Interrupt me at any point. But after the trespass in September on the 4th, I want to say maybe, let's say 8 days later, the chief of police sent a report to the city manager's office, which again, never stated that I threatened or tried to force my way into the building. That same report was then released to the Gabber, which is a local newspaper here. Again, never once ever claiming that I threatened or tried to force my way into a building. It was only after James Madison and Acura embarrassed the fuck out of them did they double down and now needed to cover their tracks and realize they fucked up, that it had no legal basis and since it had trespassed me from City Hall. And now they can just go in and make whatever false complaints and now get their city employees to go in and start writing fake documents and fake reports and whatever innocent affidavits. But again, the investigation wasn't done in it wasn't done in September when the incident happened. The investigation was now done after Acura Amanda went in and embarrassed the chief of police in March. Ain't that some shit?
I'm talking about Amy. That's Amy. She wrote that in the chat too. I said that at the gas station today, and it was instant laughter. But back to the subject.
Jesse,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to go take care of the baby. She's in there crying and whatnot, but I did want to jump on and join when Jesse called, because I've known Jesse for a long time. And I think this situation, you hear it in your friend's voice. He feels like he's being made out to be, kind of crazy or insane or unstable, or they're making him out like, oh, he's just.
That's exactly what they're writing.
This up or whatever. And I've known him a long time. He really cares about community, and he cares about the injustice he feels is what he's going through. And I hope that, Jesse, I really hope we're able to fight this, because I do believe this is the wrong, but he doesn't have a history of this. He doesn't go from town to town getting himself into these trespassing situations at City Hall or, and I feel so bad for him, because his voice, they think I'm crazy.
Well, but that's the whole point of this tactical war there. If you can literally get someone, you can get the communities into agreeing and that this person's crazy, and you can discredit them. Nothing else that comes out their mouth and will ever be credible.
Yeah.
So you got the Gabber slandering me, you got city officials writing false reports, you got the police writing false reports, and so at this moment, everyone truly thinks I'm fucking crazy. Now, I may have a mouth on me, and I may not be a lady to what I'm talking, but last time I checked, like Acura said in this, and I have the ability to address my government, and I'm not sitting here yelling or at the top of my voice, but now I am at some point, because let's face it, after 3 years worth of this bullshit, I'm still expected to be someone that I would have generally been to begin with when I moved here. But again, no one really cared about me. Just cared more about my skin tone or my ethnicity. I just don't understand the fuckery behind it.
If they weren't saying it straight out, I wouldn't have believed it. but they're not shy about saying it.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be the first time they send someone's run around and they're saying, yeah, talking about us. And there's a difference between, you know, an N and a black person. I'm not sure I can say this live, by the way. So, yeah, the council member's husband, you've had some signs all over town that says that, you know, N's don't like the sunshine on Gulfport. I mean, they've destroyed every history of everything they've ever done here. And it's a negative to anyone. You can't go even to the historical society. And this may sound like a conspiracy thing right now that's about to come out of my mouth, but the very person who's in charge, who actually runs and owns the Gabber, is the very person who actually runs the historical society here. And she's even posting that she can't find any history of all the crap that they've done to people here. And people are letting her know. They're telling her exactly what has occurred here. And again, it is discouraged. You are not allowed to speak about it.
In there, Jesse. I'm gonna go take care of the baby. Thank y'all. Acura is really nice
Patricia.
today.
Thank you, Sugar.
Bye.
Good night. Thanks for coming on here. All right. And we're back. Shout out to Patricia for coming on here. Very nice meeting you. I'm gonna take a second to read the chat before we continue. XXGOX says, "We the people keep it real and true. You can't lose. I love freedom." American said, "It's stupid to judge someone based on race." Batman says, what did Batman say? Batman Justice says, "Who is not crazy?"
I promise you guys, since I'm far from being crazy, I've never once and ever utilized my race and has a crutch, whatever you want to call it. It's never been an excuse. Yes, I may have dealt with certain ignorant comments, and that's fine. I mean, people are going to say stupid shit all day long. I'm willing to move forward. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I really honestly just did not expect to move into a town in this that would only allow white-owned businesses to operate in certain fields. And then
they pretend like it's not happening. It's crazy.
Yes, we don't see it. I mean, they're closing down city parking spots. Yeah. I mean, literally in the middle of downtown, closing 2 city parking spots in a pink food truck. I mean, the pink food truck is gayer than me on a Sunday morning. There's no way in hell you do not see this flamboyant bitch's truck in downtown with big old eyelashes in the middle of downtown. And again, not even during an event. I mean, by herself. She puts up tents, balloons, live jazz. 8 hours she's out there. And they're going to tell me that not one officer that we've had here, said out of 36 officers, managed to see this bitch downtown closing 2 city parking spots. Yeah. No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Including every single ice cream truck. Because every American knows that ice cream trucks are completely fucking silent. This is how they sound. No, you normally hear ice cream trucks 7 blocks down. These bitches are not in the business of making money being silent. The closer and the louder they get, the more you know that you're about to get your ice cream. And your kids get excited. They're out there with their money. No, they're telling me they've never seen it. I'm not asking if you've seen it. I'm asking if you've heard it. Because everyone got ears here and it said, unless you're deaf at the brain moments. And I'm a little confused how you've had 27 years with these ice cream trucks and not one person has seen it. Even furthermore, I went ahead and did an open records request. I wanted to know, even when I applied for my permit in 2019 and was denied, I just went in, decided, give me 5 years prior to any ice cream truck, mobile vendors who have ever received tickets, citation, smoke signals,
anything,
court cases. Give me something. Not one time in 27 years, and so even the 5, I'm sorry, no one has ever been issued a ticket here. So why do you find it such an issue that I am trying to open up a business and compete with these other businesses doing exactly the same thing? I don't know how to answer it.
Well, do you want to, Jesse, do you want to... Okay, so we touched base on the unlawful trespass on public property. How has that affected your ability to get public records from this department?
It just completely halted it. Because again, they never bothered trespassing me from the building department.
Right.
I mean, you're claiming that I went ahead and tried to force my way into a building. I mean, why would the trespass be from the city hall and not the building department? I mean, as you notice, and even the latest video that you helped me launch in this, and I mean, it was months later,
Right.
or was it a year later or something like that, that I went back and to try to obtain this in records, even for the court case I was going through. And of course, now I was banned and trespassed from that building because apparently it was a nuisance, just for trying to get open records and for proving that, hey, there's no way in hell, that you would have been able, to pull on the inside of a door with no fucking handles.
Yeah, it's
so apparently
physically
that
impossible.
Yeah.
So we've debunked that. But so being said that, let's go back to July. I want to touch base on July because this is our intent. This is why we need to push this GoFundMe. We're trying to raise money for Jesse to hire an attorney. He's facing a felony charge, and
eight years for a CD accidentally touching an officer.
You want to,
all because I got trespassed from a building illegally. I couldn't go in to redress my government to do any open records request. They continue to keep giving me fake CDs or corrupt CDs that I could not access. And I wasn't the only one. Ray Rodriguez, if you look at his other videos, again, same thing with him. He stated it many times and sent to, I'm sorry, I'm going to take off my robe here. To the chief of police. I know, right? Boom, 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 boom. I got my hanging with my peep shirts.
Love it.
My nerd shirts is how I call it. I'm going to take this off for now.
Love it.
So I'm going to plug it in because my phone's about to die. But yeah, Ray Rodriguez, prior to this, went ahead and said the same thing. You're giving me CDs, they're corrupt. I can't access any of this information. He's tried his best to get multiple stuff and it just never worked out. On this specific date, I went in, grabbed the CD, went home, and tried 3 different devices, 2 of my computers, including this and other software stuff that I had. It was absolutely corrupt. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I'm at 1%, and I don't want my phone to die. All right, good.
Okay, that's what I was doing too for a second. I don't want to lose you guys. Why isn't my phone charging?
So we went back and forth with the CD. I was trying to either give me a new CD or just refund me my money at this very moment. And the reason why the CD even came up to begin with was because Ray Rodriguez at some point had ordered some open records requests for body camera footage when he was falsely arrested, and they were making accusations and all. Actually, I think the specific one was for when his boat got towed. And you can clearly see in this that the other officer is asking the other officer, "Is your camera on? Oh, I'm going to turn mine off." Where is that footage? I mean, he did request and send any cameras, any body cameras, mics, everything you name it, and sent underneath the branch and sent for public records, and was only given one specific video, and then was told and nothing else was available. So here we are playing these videos, and we're just laughing at at this moment where we realize this, and again they've been caught in yet another lie. So we went ahead and send the public records person for the police department a email stating this, and that you're intentionally trying to delete public records. If you continue to keep hindering us and from being able to access such information, we're going to end up filing charges against you and suing you. And coincidentally, a video popped up on nowhere. But Ray has gone almost 7 years dealing with this shit. I've only been at this for 3. And simply put, I don't really want to be here for the next fucking 4 years since I'm having to deal with any of this bullshit. Kind of seems like I'm going to be here for quite a bit and just dealing with the false tickets and everything else, because that's just pretty much what they're entitled to do, and no one's really ever stood up to them. But I'm at that point in my life where I just want Gulfport to be Gulfport, and I just pretty much want to leave at some point. But back to the story, once I got the CD, again, corrupt.
Too cold outside.
I went back and to complain about the CD. I mean, he took it, I took it, he took it, I took it. He knew that I couldn't pass the door line for the city hall. So I took the CD and I tried tossing it past the door line, and it took wind and it accidentally hit him in the back of his heel or his boot. And he accused me of hitting him, but you know, for the last 4 years, he's already attempted 4 times to have me arrested prior. I didn't believe anything came out of his mouth. And my video shows in the sense the actual CD was maybe 3 or 4 foot away from him. And honestly, I didn't see this into the CD touched him. Clearly, they said I do have and send the actual what's it called, the discovery, and it did touch him. I mean, I didn't no intentions of hitting this guy at all. I mean, if I really wanted to get arrested, and I honestly could have just easily passed and sent through the door, double doors, I should say, and that would have been it. I would have just been hit with trespassing charges. But you know, it is what it is. It caught wind, it touched him, and he took the opportunity of now having the tripping me.
I gotcha. Yeah.
You know, again, after 4 failed attempts, the 5th one he got, and here I am instead of having to fight my life. I've got 5 years and sent for. Well, hopefully, I don't get 5 years, but I'm being charged in some with a felony. 5 years and sent for battery against a Leo. And another 3, I just want to say, and for owning a gun. So the mere fact that I even owned a gun, and after, apparently I was crazy, or whatever the case might be. I don't know how the law works, and I'm still learning a lot of stuff here in Florida. But anytime you have a battery against an officer, and if you own any type of weapons or combustible items, and I guess that they can add another 3 years to that. So I can potentially end up in jail for 8 years of my life, and for a CD touching a boot or touching his leg by accident.
Outrageous. And what I want to just say is that the burden of proof is always on the state, and they're going to have to prove all 4 elements. And one of them I see being a big problem for the state of Florida to prove that.
Well, we said the same thing about the last case.
That you actually and intentionally caused harm to this officer and intentionally threw a CD at him to cause bodily harm. And yes, you tossed the CD, you tried to get it through the door, but a CD is like a frisbee, I would compare it to. And I mean,
I didn't think of that when I actually tossed it, past the door line.
But
it wasn't the first thing that came to mind. But once, it was just like, and I gotta tell you this, in this video, it definitely makes me look like a complete asshole.
It's not against the law to be an asshole.
No, I'm not an asshole. I just
against the law.
I was utilizing the very thing. I was calling him the very thing since then he was calling me, or at least not him, I should say this, but his police department and the chief of police was condoning. It just lined up perfectly well with a CD touching his boot, and now makes me look like I intentionally did something that I never did.
I hope he's okay.
I know, right? You poor thing.
I heard he had to amputate.
Let me make it better.
Poor little fella.
Let me kiss you.
It's been a long 3 years. Long 3 years of something that I honestly didn't think was even possible.
Yeah.
I mean, who wakes up in the morning and really thinks in this and that, hey,
it's the CD. You're a liar. I don't know.
The CD slayer. Serial CDer.
But really, guys, if each and every one of us, like all of you subscribers, donate like $1, whatever you can donate, let's try to help Jesse fight this case. He needs adequate legal defense, and I just want to do everything in my power, and that includes, using my platform to try to help him out. And if you guys would be so kind, just anything that you can send. If you can't, that's okay too. I know times are tough for everybody, and it's the holidays. I understand that. But like from the bottom of my heart, when I see somebody in distress or I see wrongdoing, I try to do anything I can to rectify the situation. So, I mean, if you guys can, please donate. 100% of the proceeds will go to his legal defense. It goes directly to Jesse Lee. And
I appreciate that, Amanda. You know, recently I was just made aware and that I'm not even going to be offering this in PTI, was it?
And you don't have a criminal record.
Yeah,
I don't. I've never been arrested,
clean.
never given a ticket.
Yeah.
My first time ever being arrested, and I can't even get what is it called? The entire thing.
What is it? PTI, pre-trial intervention. I don't know if I'm quoting that correctly.
Yep, that's correct. And the state attorney is not willing to give it to me. I'm being fucking railroaded here. After again 3 years of attempting for something as simple as opening up a mobile food business cart that everyone else has been allowed to do. No one else has been, asked to apply for permits. No one's been stopped. No one's been ticketed. And again, the only difference between me and them is that they're white and I'm not. I'm not shitting on white people. I'm not saying this is this entire town. These are Pacific people. Listen, they get to do whatever they want, how they want to do it, and they never have to apply for permits. They're never questioned. And I just don't know how they have the ability to be able to exercise and their liberties. I mean, they're God-given liberties in this, and to do certain things and that the rest of us should be able to do. And we have to eat crow while we see them succeed. And that's my problem. So, yeah, I am being railroaded. I mean, the state attorney, is not going to offer me PTI when I've never been arrested. I mean, it is completely off the table.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
So, I mean, again, anyone who can help me out at great moments, I appreciate it. I mean, it's been a bit. It's been a long trip for the last 5 years, and not even just the 3 here. But, after going through whatever I went through in Texas with Harvey and having to move to a city where I really thought was going to be so much light in my life and I was going to have a good time, was going to finally learn how to kite surf and paddleboard and do one of those little drunken art classes and, be them, what do I call those, where you make pottery and, be that movie Ghost. No? Okay, I'm gonna lose that joke today.
Well, guys, like I said, I'm going to be doing a few follow-up videos, a few more trips up to Gulfport. So you haven't seen the last of me. Don't be a liar. I'm gonna be back. And I'm just going to be covering Jesse's future cases. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell for the notifications. Pulverize that like button, guys. And I appreciate any donations that were made tonight on Jesse's behalf. But we are going to end this soon. I want to keep it around an hour. Is there anything you guys wanted to add before I end this in a little bit?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. Truly,
yeah, do it.
It's a very hard thing for me to have to ask people for help.
I understand.
Not something that I was built for. I've always worked. I've always owned my businesses. I've always strived. I always pushed myself forward. I've never utilized any excuses. And now I'm being told that I'm utilizing my race card because I don't think rules apply to me. I'm being told that if I don't like the way they do things here, they're going to take my ass to Tampa, where it's more diverse and more ethnic. I mean, seriously, why? What the fuck is going on here? I really just do not understand it. So many people are completely aware of what's going on here in town, but they're so scared, they're so intimidated, they're devastated to even speak up. And after seeing what has occurred to so many other people, who dare even speak up about any of this stuff. And I'm not the only one. Again, there's
no, you're far from being the only one.
Latinos. There have been one Asian woman. There's been at least 2 other black ladies that at least I'm aware of, and those are the things that I can pull up. But again, I mean, it's very hard for me to ask for help, and I got to tell you, right now, I'm desperate. I really am. I mean, this is a time in my life in this where again I can spend 8 years in jail.
We don't have much time either.
Yeah, for being.
No, we don't.
just for being me, for being born me. I don't get this. So thank you. Ultimately, listen, for anyone listen who even takes the time listen to donate or for being generous. Really, from the deep of my heart, I really do appreciate that. I'm looking at hiring an attorney, and the one listen that is slightly close into being reasonable, is around $7,000. And I just, after 3 years of suffering with these folks, and I just don't have the necessary means to be able to get that attorney, at least not 100%, without wiping myself out completely. So I'm hoping that even if I don't get the support that I need from my own community 100%, and that hopefully someone out there that can be generous and thoughtful and just concerned in this and that. This is just a time in my life in this and where I just truly need this and that my spirit lifted. And I know that I've been blessed to know Acura, and I'm so grateful to have her and helping me, among other people in my life too. But it's just difficult in being here. I just again want to get to that point where I can just regain my freedoms and just leave Florida. So thank you again, I guess.
Thank you for coming on here and opening up to what the disparities that you've been, handed out, and you lost everything. You lost almost everything you owned in a major hurricane, and you moved to this beautiful town, and it's plagued with just disparities. And I bet there's more of you out there, Jessie Lee, that's really going through some of the same things. Like, for example, Jesse took me to a tour around Gulfport. He took me to 49th Street, and we interviewed about 10 or 12 minorities over there, and they all had the same exact story. Every single one of them, all different age groups. We don't cross 49th Street. We don't do it. We're scared of the police. We're not welcome. We're not wanted. My ancestors were not wanted. And
tell them what the cop said.
There was this officer that said that, be careful on 49th Street. There's all crackheads there. And I didn't see one crackhead there.
I didn't see one either.
Yeah, it's just like,
I see a few across the street from me, but they ain't black.
Lived there for 18 years. All the crackheads were in Gulfport.
It's mind-blowing.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh that loud. And for such, I realized that people are going through their stuff and this, but it was just a fucked up scenario for them to actually have said and saying that.
Yeah, label.
Just warn us that if we go to 49th Street, where it's literally predominantly black, and saying that it's just going to be crackheads, and was just like, wow. Yeah. And
it's funny,
again, every single person we interviewed or even talked to about this type of incident, and I didn't see one crackhead either. And even worse, and saying that every last one of them had exactly the same thing to say. They don't want to go through Gulfport. They don't want to drive through Gulfport. They'll drive around Gulfport. They've been targeted consistently. But,
so again, my kids
it's
feel.
all in my mind. It's my imagination. Yeah. Everything's perfect here in Gulfport, apparently, to a lot of these neighbors. And even if they realize something, they just keep quiet because they know this. And ultimately, if they talk or they speak up, listen, they're going to be the next people on that list to be targeted.
Yep. But once again, I want to thank Salty Balls. That's balls with a W. And Jessie Lee. And thank you to each and every one of you who donated, and every one of you in the chat, all my moderators. I love you all, and good night, everybody. Happy holidays to each and every one of you.
Happy holiday, guys.
Don't be a liar.
Thank you again, listen, for everything.
Don't be a liar.
Anytime. And that's what this community is all about. We all support each other. We're all fighting on the same team. No matter who we are, we're fighting for the same cause, and that's the beauty of this. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Acura Amanda signing out.
You're a liar.
You're a liar. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks again.